please help me welcome HBCU proud Howard University alum, Mr. Cameron Tribble.
Hello. Ooh, testing. 1, 2, 1, 2. Thank you, Fred. Can we clap it up? This is early, well, not that early morning, but CIAA, we're here. AI, friend or foe? Everybody's been hearing about it, and so we're hoping to educate those who are watching and those who are here. We have a really esteemed panel. I'm going to bring up, all the panelists could come up and one at a time. Well, today we will be talking about AI. Is it friend or foe? And we have a really esteemed panel brought to you today by Verizon. Verizon, one of the largest communication technology companies in the world, offering voice, data, and video services and award-winning networks. And representing Verizon today, our first panelist, Mr. Shima Imbirakira, the Vice President and Deputy General Counsel of Verizon Global Services. In this capacity, he advises Verizon's data and analytics and artificial intelligence organizations, as well as Verizon product, contracting, and information technology teams. Throughout his career, Shima has also been active in criminal justice reform. Most recently, he helped launch Verizon's criminal justice reform pro bono program, where he is working on resentencing cases for children sentenced without life parole. If you could give it up for Shima. Thank you for joining us. Next up, we have a Baltimore native, Dr. Japhis Tucker Doswell, the founder, president, and CEO of Juxtopia LLC, a privately held for-profit biomedical and information technology company with a mission for improving human performance. He's a renowned AI futurist. Dr. Doswell is no stranger to AI. In 2005, he created the world's first culturally competent, empathetic, and ethical artificial intelligence virtual instructor software architecture to deliver personalized instruction to underserved population in mixed reality environments. Juxtopia's innovative wearable technology products aim to improve human health and learning, improve competency and skills ranging from neurosurgery, emergency medicine, farming, and paramedics and law enforcement. Please welcome Dr. Doswell to the discussion. Next up, this is a good one. Next up, we have Ursula Spencer, the founder of Dope Nerds, the only Black-owned, women-led, virtually reality solutions provider in the U.S. dedicated to transforming education, professional development, and workforce training using innovative immersive technologies. From hacking at an age of 11 to her first tech company at age 21, Ursula has transformed her childhood curiosity for technology into a pioneering career. With 3 decades of tech industry under her belt, her leadership at Dope Nerds has pioneered transformative experiences in K-12 education, construction, and manufacturing. Coming in 2025, Dope Nerds has a double-decker mobile tech bus hitting the streets, and she's even built AI platforms for businesses to win a government contract. Thank you for lending your expertise in this conversation. Please welcome Ursula Spencer. Lastly, we have Ariana Grant, the Director of Strategic Planning and Governance at Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield. In this role, she facilitates long-term strategy with the executive leadership team and oversees corporate performance measurement. She's co-founded the nonprofit Not One More Life and Samara Collective. This worker-owned consultancy empowers organizations and movements, such as unions and progressive community coalitions, through digital organizing, web development, and training. Can we welcome Ariana? Panelists, how you feeling? Good. Everybody mic test, mic one. AI, artificial intelligence. Ursula, first of all, can we all applaud these glasses? You guys don't have an NDA, so she can't tell me exactly what they're doing. but do know she's already in the future. While artificial intelligence is all around us, let's put this in context for those who may not be familiar with AI and its perversive, like how it's really dominating society and all the talk today. Can you just break this down in layperson's term? What is artificial intelligence?
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm like blown away to be on this panel. Okay, so a quick story. My mom, who just turned 70 a few weeks ago, and I were talking about AI. And so I'm going to use the answer that I use to explain artificial intelligence to her. So Alexa, Siri, any of when you're talking into your car, right, or any of the maps that you've been using, we've been using artificial intelligence, perhaps unbeknownst to you, but those are tools, right? And how those tools get sort of constructed is by this is like super high level, so I don't want the techies to freak out that I'm like being simplistic about this, but it encompasses two core components. That is the data, so that's all of the content that we're feeding a supercomputer. That supercomputer, and I want you to think of, so not super in size, but in power. So that supercomputer then takes all of that data and it culls it. What does that mean? That means that it's sifting through or it's sorting through that petabytes or probably like exabytes at this point of data and categorizing it, applying the questions and answers to it or the results of it. So when you speak into those digital devices, or when you're using GPTs, or you're creating video via AI, that's how it's kind of pulled all together.
Okay, so we got Alexa, we got Hey Google, all of those. When you're speaking into, you realize those are AI. AI, as we all understand, has been around even for decades and so many places before that. I want to turn over here to the AI futurist and the person who built when we did a pre-panel, I was really blown away by some of the technology and the work that you're doing, Dr. Daswell. But according to Stanford University's 2023 AI Index, a survey of people who work on AI indicated over 36% fear nuclear-level catastrophe, finding it routinely based on and can serve as nefarious aims. The report also concluded that AI is both helping and harming the environment, and that a number of incidents concerning the misuse of AI is rapidly rising. Can you unpack that for us? Is AI coming to get us?
Well, there's two perspectives to that. The various pros and cons of artificial intelligence, of course. The pro is that it can augment human intelligence, providing a cognitive augmentation of what we're currently doing, automating the jobs that are dirty, dangerous, and difficult, and then also in many different type of industries impact and transform the way we practice medicine, for example. So instead of actually going to the hospital environment, you may one day go into a shower, have a whole body scan, transcutaneous methods of looking at illnesses, injuries, and diseases, looking in the mirror, determine glaucoma through some kind of object recognition system, using natural language recognition system to determine early incidences of Alzheimer's disease. The cons, though, can be devastating for those who are nefarious, who want to attack our infrastructure, such as taking down or impacting a nuclear power plant, using a hacking system, using generative AI to accomplish that. So pros and cons, but because we have 86 billion neurons in our brain, we have the most powerful computer system that is neurologically based and natural. Then if we gain the skills and develop our competency, we can thwart the potentially but not yet imminent attacks.
Digging a little bit deeper there, because you mentioned hey, one day we could walk in the shower and just get a body scan, and that would replace going to a doctor and look into a mirror and see if we have glaucoma maybe, I don't know, get our eye checkup and things of that nature. It sounds very movies, futuristic. I think that's when people hear AI and they hear a person like yourself say something like that. They may think, I don't know, Terminator or some of these various movies we've seen for years, but in all seriousness, like, is that why it's become such a hot topic in mainstream media? I know we've had ChatGPT that just come on the screen, and Gemini, and if you turn on your Google Chrome, these different things, and they say, hey, you have an AI assistant now. For you or for any of the panelists, like, ideas on why you think AI has become such a mainstream hot topic right now for everybody?
One of the reasons why I believe AI has become a hot topic, it's been around since 1940. Alan Turing, the imitation game, in computer science in our field, the Turing Award is the highest accomplishment one can achieve. It's pretty much mimicking the human being's ability to perform an activity in the exact same manner that the human being does it. So that was Alan Turing. And his accomplishments helped us win World War II. People were hacking a lot back then. I think, the reason why artificial intelligence has now reemerged since the 1940s is because the computational power, the computational power of our supercomputers and the transmission networks, Verizon, for example, have provided the capability of doing the things that we couldn't do before, like generative AI, natural language processing, speech recognition, speech synthesis, computer vision, so forth and so on.
It's interesting.
Can I chime in on that?
Sure.
So I agree with everything Dr. Glasgow said, and I just add, I think ChatGPT changed the conversation, obviously, because what that did is it brought generative AI to our fingertips. You could literally just go on to an app, type in a prompt, and suddenly you're seeing results that you never imagined possible coming out of the system. So I think ChatGPT has certainly invigorated a lot of the conversation around artificial intelligence. I think the other piece of it too is our imagination. And we've been thinking about AI, as for decades. People, the Jetsons, all the movies we've watched, we love the idea of a world in which AI is a part of it. But a lot of those ideas tend to veer towards the dystopian, right? It's how AI is going to destroy the world, how AI is going to take over our jobs. That's the part that viscerally we react to most strongly. But I think there's another part of the conversation, Cameron, that I think we sometimes miss out on, which is sort of the parts about agency and empowerment, right? With agency, I think we sometimes have to remember that we get to choose. There may be technologies there may be AI technology that does certain things better than us, does it more efficiently than us, but we may decide that we just don't want AI to do that work. And that's a choice we get to make. And when I think about AI generated music, we talked about this on the pre-panel, it's amazing. It's amazing. There's amazing AI generated music that sounds a lot like some of our favorite artists. But I was mentioning to the panel, when I think about the music that I love, it's not just about the notes and the sound, it's about the stories behind it. When you hear Nina Simone singing, please don't let me be misunderstood, it's not just the words she's saying, it's everything that's loaded into that song. Her experiences with colorism or mental illness or whatever, those things animate the music. So there may be spaces where we're just going to say no. So we have agency.
You mentioned there, Shimba, something about the workforce, and I think this is something I want to bring to all the panelists. AI's effect on the workforce is a major concern for most of us, and I'm pretty sure everybody who's listening and watching. Goldman Sachs estimates that roughly 2/3 of current jobs are exposed to some degree of AI automation, and that generative AI could substitute up to 1/4 of the current work. Like a quarter of us essentially may be out of a job. A study by McKinsey Global Institute estimates that nearly 30% of all hours worked could be automated by 2030. It's like 6 years from now. 6 years. While studies also show that AI can spur job creation with an increasing demand for both STEM and soft skills, research shows that women and people of color are overexposed to AI automation, leaving them extremely vulnerable. I know folks of all ages and stages, whether they're coming into the workforce, whether they're retirees, whether they're folks who are like, I have my eyes on that one last executive role or one last thing for my last 10, 15 years of career, if we're saying in 2030, 30% of these jobs are going to be automated, like that is disruptive for all of us, especially Black folks and people of color. I want to hear from as many other panelists that would like to chime in. Start with your area on what do you think people can do to make themselves more indispensable in this current and definitely fast approaching job market that will be kind of AI dominated?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I'm going to speak primarily from my experience in healthcare. Right, I'm a employee of Care First. We're a big employer in the region. We employ several thousand people, and there's a range of different kinds of job types we have there. Right, we've got really great entry-level jobs that have tasks that already use technology. So I'm excited about the opportunity for AI to make some of that work more efficient for associates. Folks are right to be concerned that some of that might feel like we're replacing people, but I think the most innovative employers are going to be at the forefront of setting up their associates for success to deal with these new tools, to utilize them for the betterment of our mission. And for us at Care First, that's really about improving access to quality, affordable, and equitable care. If I could be so bold, I actually think the people that need to be most concerned about jobs are the executives, right? The people who are leading organizations and are not necessarily always sitting at a keyboard trying to do a repetitive task. Can you be replaced by a smart machine? And that's sort of an interesting conversation we've been having internally with Care First, with middle management, with our executive leaders.
And I think companies, when they're looking at their bottom lines and they see those high-paid executives, like, I don't know if everybody ever saw Office Space, when the Bobs come in and they're like, so what do you do? And if AI can answer that question better than you are. Ursula, did you have anything about the job force?
Yeah, so I want us to think of this in another way. Am I good? Okay. So these topics are very important around the concerns around the bias with AI, security, and policy, right? But as a culture that has built this country, this is also an opportunity to bridge and or close a number of gaps. If you would just stay with me for a moment and think about AI as a partner as it relates to workforce. Your partner in, excuse me, not only getting those mundane tasks done, but the speed in which it's able to do so. Or the speed in which you're able, if you have an incredible idea, you're now able to leverage this tool to bring your idea to fruition. So it's not that I want us to forget about the fact that these problems exist, but I don't want us to be myopic about the problems and we miss the opportunity or the potential.
So I'd like to elaborate on that. I think I would definitely agree. And to elaborate on that, for example, we have in Juxtopia, to address the George Floyd incident with police brutality and violence against Black males, we secured a National Institute of Health grant, a Small Business Innovative Research grant, to address that health disparity with an artificial intelligence-enabled wearable augmented reality head-mounted display worn by a police officer to train the officers on how to de-escalate using non-lethal force, and where the augmented reality goggles provide computer vision to determine unbiasedly if someone has a weapon or not, if the perpetrator or suspect is having anxiety, showing different emotions. You can do this with Python and OpenCV, using speech recognition to determine if that the police officer is talking in a culturally competent manner. And so that becomes a cognitive augmentation or enhancement to the officer using the application of artificial intelligence in a way that helps the human being. So that's another way of looking at it from that perspective.
I think when I think about the workforce, and just thinking about either clients I have or even some of the things I used to hire people to do, even something as simple as my podcast, there was a few $1,000s just to make sure it was edited and put together. I got some AI tools that are cutting that all down in charging me about $30, $40, $50 a month. And I think even people who are in the gig economy, all the way mentioned executives and so forth, that are going to be exposed, need to find a way to understand how to do this.
Can I add just one more point?
Yeah, sure, because I'm going to come to you showing about Verizon.
AI, artificial intelligence, doesn't exist without human intelligence. That's very important. It's not a narrative, that's just a fact. Without the human component, AI doesn't work. So I just want to make sure that sits at the forefront. It wouldn't even have come to fruition without the human intelligence part. And there's a lot of brilliance within our community that can leverage it in order to, again, just kind of move things forward.
Can I piggyback on Ursa's comment? Please do. It's an unbelievably important comment. Absolutely. Also, I think one of the things that's going to be important in this economy, the economy to come, is doubling down on our own humanity, doing the things that humans do particularly well, and maybe in many instances better than algorithms. And so tapping into our humanity, figuring out what those things are that people do well, and investing in those is going to be important. I think the humanities and liberal arts education is going to make a comeback. For all the parents who didn't want their kids to study philosophy and ethics, suddenly philosophy and ethics could be the most important thing to study. Those of you who are doing art and creative enterprises, those are going to be important for the very reasons that Ursula alluded to. So I just want to underscore your point.
To that, Shema, you represent Verizon. I don't know, raise your hand by round of applause. Anybody have Verizon phones or services? Okay. And that wasn't just, thank you Verizon for sponsoring us. You better give some thanks and shout outs. You know you're well represented in the room. But I also say that too, when you think technology, you think of the Verizon, some of your competitors, you think of the Googles and the Apples of the world, the Netflixes and things of that nature. So you all were at the forefront. Verizon, just recently, your chief financial officer said that Verizon is looking to use AI, you're already using AI to analyze everything from network operations to monetizing through new price point initiatives. And then he said that you're looking to use AI to reduce expenses by $2 to $3 billion in 2025. That's next year. So $2 to $3 billion in expenses. I'm pretty sure there's jobs in there. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of technology, but there's efficiencies that hopefully are passed down and make you a better company and a better provider and continue to be efficient for your customers. And then we also we use it for everything from Alexa to Hey Google to Siri on our phone. With Verizon being such a major player in the technology space, what are you doing to both balance the business and the interpersonal interests while remaining extremely competitive in the artificial intelligence market?
And thank you for the question. So, as has been mentioned on this panel, many companies, including Verizon, have been using AI for a long time, what we call narrow AI. What's changed in the last couple of years is generative AI. And everything that our CFO mentioned is being amplified by orders of magnitude by the power that generative AI brings to corporations. So we're gonna do more to delight our customers and personalize your experiences. We're gonna do more for our employees in terms of offloading some of the work that they may not have loved doing so they can do some of the more higher order work. We're going to continue to improve what is, in our opinion, the best network in the country. All those things are true. But to do that, we need to make sure that we do it responsibly. And at Verizon, we take our responsibility to society very seriously when it comes to these technologies. And so when you think about the landscape that we're in, and I'm a lawyer, this can be an unsettling landscape. There aren't a lot of rules yet, right? We're seeing a lot of movement in the European Union with the European Union AI Act. The Biden executive order, obviously, we thought was very good and is creating some of these parameters, but we're still playing in a space where there aren't a lot of rules. And so the responsibility is going to fall on companies like Verizon to do the right thing. And so when you go to our environmental societal governance report, for example, you're going to see our AI principles where we talk about things like transparency and trustworthiness, respect for human rights, respect for society. Those are things that we take very seriously, not just in what we say, but in the way that we've built our governance structure. So Cameron, we want to be competitive, we want to continue to lead, we want to use this technology to do that. We want to do it in a way that is responsible and that continues to engender trust from all of you who are our consumers.
Thank you, thank you. Verizon, leading the way. Shout out to Verizon again one more time. Ariane, HealthWorks. HealthWorks is a CareFirst is an innovative and investment arm, and you recently launched CloseKnit to offer 24-hour virtual first primary care to members. By adopting a virtual first technology-enabled care delivery method, barriers to care are removed, and the accessibility to primary and preventative care is expanded. So that's, like I said, 24-hour virtual first primary care, wherever you may be. Can you give an example where I was saying, utilizing this technology-first program to deliver services? Can you talk to us about the future of AI in healthcare and the benefits CareFirst hopes to increase, both also in equity and accessibility?
Absolutely. I was saying to someone earlier this morning, and I'd love to build on the point that Shema was making, the rules of engagement are still being determined, right? Even us at CareFirst, we are paying attention to artificial intelligence. We are figuring out what is our official position, how are we going to leverage it as a partner, and how are we going to take defensive stances where we need to. And I think as with any emerging technology or trend, who's at the forefront? Who's at the vanguard? It's the founders, it's the builders, it's the futurists. And then I'd say like maybe academia, right? They're spurring our like knowledge base about these new emerging trends. And then it's enterprise, right? This is no knock against any big company. I'm very proud to work at CareFirst. But enterprise is going to hang back and pay attention to what's going on while we watch the folks on the ground and at the vanguard really change this space. And so how we're approaching that at CareFirst, as was mentioned through HealthWorks, our innovation investment arm, that is where we actually build de novo companies and where we invest in startups through our corporate venture capital fund. So that is how we are engaging with the future of AI. So one example is one of our portfolio companies and a partner called Socially Determined. They use AI to determine social risk scores of our members down to the city block to understand what kinds of interventions will be most beneficial for the overall health of those folks. Do they have good food access? Do they have good access to transportation, education, job opportunities? That is where we can build these wraparound services around our members to ensure health equity. Similarly, I think we've been looking at a lot of different kinds of interventions in the maternal health space to address those disparities between black and white birthing persons and the premature birth rates and maternal mortality rates we see, right? That is where we can use technology and AI to close those kinds of health gaps.
Thank you. I know a lot of that is both here coming and as we age and have an aging population, that is going to be critical to providing services and making sure everybody can be covered in there.
Can I just add on the aging population? We do not have enough workers to support our aging population. Technology and how we use that to scale and care for our elders and give them dignity through the rest of their lives is going to be critical for this country.
And to elaborate, if I could, on that, so the National Institutes of Health has two great programs to address both maternal mortality disparities as well as aging in place, as you mentioned. One is a Reform Initiative from the National Institute of Child Health and the Health, NIHCD, and then the National Institute of Minority Health and Health Disparities. And for the young people in the room that want to develop another high-tech company to be better than Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, so forth and so on, this is your opportunity. So in Juxtopia, we look at non-invasive methods of transcutaneously looking at different biomarkers indicative of fetal demise or causing hypoxic skin encephalopathy, HIE, or folic acid decline, or to prevent preeclampsia, which impacts African American women significantly, or age-in-place Alzheimer's. NIH puts around $500,000 for phase 1 SBIR, for 6-month effort, non-diluted, $3 million for a 24-month effort to actually study these type of interventions. You can do this right outside out of high school. develop these technologies, impact healthcare, create a business, generate significant revenue, and really address and eradicate health, these health disparities with the applications of real artificial intelligence.
Thank you. Healthcare. It's like I said, it's going to be one of the major industries that are impacted. So this is titled Friend or Foe, am I right? AI, Friend or Foe. So we've been talking about some friendly stuff. But is it a foe? Like I said, the reason why I bring up Terminator, Skynet, that's one of my favorite movies growing up. And it was really big, but it was something that the thought of what AI and what artificial intelligence may look like back in the 80s and now, and just to kind of see where we are. But to be serious on that, Ursula and Dr. Daswell, we've seen recent reports from the Wall Street Journal that the Chinese government has attempted to virtually attack U.S. infrastructure at increasingly new levels. FBI director warned that pre-positioned malware could be triggered to disrupt critical systems, everything from our power to our water supplies and so many other things, systems that really kind of keep things going. It's something that's been in the news. Maybe it's not been the top of mind for everyone, but it is something that is continuously being reported. And they've also said that the U.S. and both OpenAI and Microsoft, OpenAI, which makes ChatGPT, have reported they've disrupted a record number of attempts of AI to infiltrate U.S. systems. And then how people feel. Researchers said that more than 77% of consumers say that strong data security is one of the most critical factors influencing their willingness to use payments and credential flows, like from cryptocurrency to online payment systems, which are kind of everyday use now, but people are fearful. I'm in the space and I still, I'm not going to go this way. But I ask you that, as both our resident kind of futurists and building the systems and building a company and so forth like DopeNerds, how can the average person protect themselves from being a target of some of this maliciousness and the foe, I would say, of artificial intelligence or bad actors that are using artificial intelligence to come after us? Russell?
So the first thing I want to point out is that cyber warfare is not anything, this isn't new. The way in which they're doing it just happens to be new, and that is they're now leveraging AI because it's, such the hot thing. If you're scared of AI now, then wait till we start talking about quantum computing. Then that's when I think we should be a little bit more concerned. Jokes aside, one of the ways, and it's the easiest thing, it's the most simplest thing, is to become knowledgeable. Literally, YouTube University, Google, and just literally start using the free tools. Why do I say that? Because if you know better, you do better, right? You also start to build up that knowledge, not only externally of your careers or your careers on an enterprise level at your jobs, but then you are more aware of what's going on in the global landscape. So and give you an idea, one of the pillars at DopeNerds is not only increasing representation in tech across the board in STEM careers, but in IT, because coding is not everyone's ministry. And you don't need to be a developer in order to not only leverage these tools, but even master them. So that is one of the key things I would say that would protect not only your home, your own career, and just having an understanding of, again, not just where we are, not just your block, not just the city you live in, not just being here in the United States, but globally, is to simply just start from the beginning and educate yourself.
Dr. Daswell?
I agree. I think the STEM skill, competency, and proficiency is required. The only way America becomes very competitive is for us to use our brains and develop those skill sets so that we can, counterattack if necessary or prevent attacks as required from other nations. My company's a defense contractor, so I recently visited DISA, That's the Defense Intelligence Systems Agency. And there's a real concern about other nations attacking the United States with flanking. Flanking is a military move where you get caught off guard. I'm from Baltimore, so in the city of Baltimore, you can get flanked going on someone's block, and you just never know where that hit's coming from. The military is the same way, but a generative artificial intelligence algorithm can send a troop, send a quadrant someplace where they may be in what they call a horseshoe, and you're flanked from all sides on an elevated ground where somebody's firing down on you. So that's a real concern. But we can create those tools if we have enough engineers and computer scientists and mathematicians and data scientists and cognitive psychologists and scientists to develop those algorithms collectively as a multidisciplinary team so that we can safeguard ourselves and be better. And so that's the way to do it.
Thank you. I want to frame this last question to the panelists before we open up. I'm pretty sure I've been looking out in the crowd and I've seen people taking notes, people looking pretty intensely, so I'm thinking there's people who have some questions, but we want to look to the future. This is 2024. This is a presidential election year, policy, so many different promises, and different things that we're hearing kind of across the landscape, both here, locally, state, and federally. My background, I was the Director of Digital Engagement for the Biden White House and ran African-American paid media and advertising on the 2020 campaign. And some of the work that I do within politics is squarely focused on working on campaigns, both for advocacy and voting and candidates. And so AI, what it can do, creating the rules of the road, the various policies are something that from presidential down, both sides of the aisle, different organizations are consistently talking about, because quite frankly, we're still trying to catch up to certain laws and policies based on social media and based on tech. Famously, governments around the world kind of move a little slower. But the International Monetary Fund, IMF, said the rise of artificial intelligence could affect up to 40% of jobs worldwide, and they've urged governments and government and policy-making institutions to really get a firm grasp on this. Now, I know everybody doesn't necessarily touch specifically government or campaign policy, but from each of your vantage points, I would frame this question as that: what is at least one thing that you see that you're like, hey, we need to make sure we're watching this, and how AI, I would say, whether it be policy or just a framing, like this is a thing that the large, because we're in Baltimore, which is close to DC, like if folks are listening, like, hey, I hope you are paying attention to how we utilize AI in this way, because like I said, it's going to have such a profound impact on jobs, on people, and our way of life. Just where from your vantage points in all your industries, whether it's a policy or it's just an idea that you'd like those who are listening, who can help set the rules of the road, they should be aware of. I'll start with you, Ariel.
Sure. Nobody has more data and is more regulated than our country's two biggest industries, financial services and healthcare, right? So we're no stranger to being regulated. When it comes to AI, I mentioned enterprise is still watching, still making the rules of engagement, but at least take care first. We've sort of defined our policy stance around protecting people, right? Our employees, our members, our customers, et cetera. And I think that sort of takes shape at a federal level with a couple of areas. So on the DOJ front, we want to make sure that people's civil rights are protected no matter how we apply AI. At the EEOC, we want to make sure employees are protected, right? Their personal information is not getting out there and getting used against them, and that their health data is protected and not used against them. So those are the three main parts of our business that we're paying very close attention to, and going to guard against how those might impact our workforce and the workforces of our customers.
Anyone else? No? Go back and forth.
Yeah, two things come to mind for me immediately. The first, and I think this is fairly straightforward, is labeling. consumers should know when they're dealing with AI. I think that addresses a whole host of issues, including big concerns around things like misinformation and disinformation. It's going to be harder than ever to tell when you're dealing with a person versus a bot, as Dr. Doswell mentioned. But the other thing, and this just came to me as we were talking, because this idea kept coming to mind, and I want to just quickly share it. There's nothing about the future of AI that's inevitable. There's nothing about the future of AI that's inevitable. We've got agency. As a consumer, you get to decide where you spend your dollars, and if you're worried about the ethics or how responsibly a company is using and deploying AI, you get to choose with your dollar. You get to vote. If there are certain jobs that we want to preserve for people, if there are certain activities that we think are dangerous to society, you can push your elected officials, you can push your representatives through the vote to have your voice be heard. I think that sense of agency is sometimes lost in our conversations about AI. We get to choose. The future's not inevitable. And then the last thing I'll say is, I keep thinking about our community and the contributions that we've made, particularly in the creative arts. You know, we talk a lot about what jobs are going to go away and what's going to be impacted, but I think there's going to be, potentially, if we choose, the rise of a creative class, right? Or the rise of a community of people who are using their creativity, the things that make them human, the things that compel us, and move us, that are tied to the fact that we're embodied and we suffer and experience the world, that is going to be high quality data. It's going to be the most compelling things that you want to spend your dollars to experience. I hope that part of what comes out of this is the rise of the creative class, and we've got a lot to offer. Not just the STEM and all that's so important. We need people doing that, but let's not forget the arts and how important that may be to the economy of the future.
I definitely, as a musician myself, I play piano, violin, composed music, went to Oberlin College undergrad, and it's hard to imagine computational science or artificial intelligence writing a piece of music with passion. However, I say it again, we as human beings are comprised of 86 billion neurons. We have a prefrontal cortex, the hypothalamus, the hippocampus regions of our brain. We're organized in many ways in how we create computer systems, and many of our thought processes are all of them is chemical in nature, even to our feelings. So what we can't do, what an artificial intelligence program can do, is to mimic what we as human beings do, and then create something that manifests in something that may create an emotional chord with someone, but we wouldn't know the difference coming back to the Turing test. So can generative artificial intelligence create the music to make this stuff happen? Can we have a holographic like Tupac or before back in the day with Michael Jackson, MJ, that is dancing even better than the original artist and codifying, but a different perspective is maybe that Elvis fan wants to see Elvis every single day, and now in the living room, can that happen? Potentially with generative AI. The two industries that I believe will be most impacted is nursing. There's a shortage of nursing, as everyone knows. Carrie First definitely knows that. We're working with Coppin State University, a historically black college university here in Baltimore, to autonomously train student nurses for the use of artificial intelligence outside the clinical skills lab, which they typically learn today on things like intravenous, intramuscular. Same with combat medicine. We do a lot with combat medicine, but in tactical combat casualty care, oftentimes they have to train like they fight before they go to the theater to war, and they have to practice things like cryptotherapy, even impression techniques. How can artificial intelligence provide step-by-step instructions and evaluate how those skills are done. The next industry is teachers. So, I used to be a professor, but we're not the best professors. We're not the best educators or pedagogians. The elementary school teachers are. However, how can you have an artificial intelligence, algorithm to deliver codified pedagogy, the art and science of instruction, or andragogy, the art and science of adult instruction, and evaluate whether or not someone's learning a concept from construction to nursing to computer science to music to whatever, and then do it at a decreased cost at $19.95 per month. So that's where we are. I think those are industries that really get impacted because we have a shortage of nurses, we have a shortage of educators, and then we have a shortage of great nurses and educators like any other profession. And can this be complemented with artificial intelligence? Replaced, some will, or like the panelists we've all agreed, augmented, just like President Obama said, and back in 2008, he created the cooperative robotics campaign, like cobots, where humans and robots collaborate together. You can't think of a robot without artificial intelligence. So the game is real, it's here. Got to get on the train, develop those skills, but don't be afraid, because one thing is true: artificial intelligence is still artificial.
It's still
nothing
artificial.
replaces the natural.
Still artificial. Ursula, anything from your vantage point that we can look with the rules of the road and given all the things that dope nerds and you've worked with, I feel like you might have
A couple of things, and my perspective is going to be a tad bit different, only because I'm self-taught. So I didn't take, and I'm not saying that as a brag, I'm saying that to empower you. My knowledge is on the backs of a public school system. I grew up born and raised in Brooklyn, and excelled academically, not only because of what we were being taught, by how these wonderful teachers and educators, but by what the examples that we gave, by digging into what is the future, right? So I really want to come from a sense of empowering you to not see it so much as a foe. Be aware, right? Be very aware that these issues, that there are issues with this technology, as it has been with technologies prior to it and even currently. However, that is your opportunity, your window to identify a gap, and then do the research on that, or make that the idea that you have. Now you have a partner, you have a co-founder, you have a virtual assistant. You literally have a team by leveraging artificial intelligence. So I really want to come from that perspective to, be very aware, but start to become knowledgeable, even just through the free tools. And I believe people will see not only how it's a powerful learning tool, but also how it can be leveraged to start closing a number of these gaps.
Yes, I am an advocate, attendee, probably a daily student of YouTube University. I will say this though, even as you get this information, like check, and recheck. Just because you saw it on YouTube, you saw somebody talk about something doesn't mean like that is I need to take that as gospel and so forth. But I love it that I didn't even realize that, like the fact that this is a self-taught industry coming from a person who I went to school for one thing and everything I'm doing is also learned over the last 20 years of working. I recognize that this is an opportunity and there's so much information that people can learn. To your point that we do have agency. The future is not inevitable. I think so much when people hear this, it's like, oh, it's coming, so I just gotta get all these different numbers I'm reading, 30%, 40%, like it's just of jobs that are gonna be impacted or lost. Like that's how it has to be. Like I know coming from government, I realize like who you elect and the rules of the road can help to navigate that in a smart way. It's not like we don't want to get rid of the guy. It's not going anywhere. It can help us, but we do need to protect ourselves because this is our planet, our society, and to your point, artificial intelligence. What's the first word? It's artificial. But as we live in the real world, I'd like to open this up to some of these folks. I'm not going to call out anybody because I've seen some people giving a lot of good hard-earned content, but we've got a question for about 2 or 3 questions. I'm going to go here and then over here, gentleman here and then the young lady over here. If you could stand up real quick and just let us know give us your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you guys hear me?
Hear you.
All right, absolutely. First and foremost, I love this panel. I'm deeply involved in artificial intelligence, so day in and day out. I'm sure we can nerd offline for hours about this. So I have a comment and then followed by a general question. First and foremost, Dr. Doswell, I appreciate you bringing up Turing because most people are just now hearing about artificial intelligence, except it's been around since the 1940s. We've been using it really since the 60s, but you're just hearing more about it now because of ChatGPT. And then Ursula, you touched on something that I think is really important, and then I'll open the question up for the panel in general, which is, I completely agree with you. I don't think AI is going to take your job. I think people that know how to use AI are going to take your job because we've moved past efficiency. We're now ushering into the era of productivity, enhanced productivity. And so tasks that used to take 8 hours, you can do them in 2. And so my question is, understanding there is going to be a shift in the way people work. You just have to, right? I think it's going to free people to be more human. How do you begin to help people make that shift? Because to me, that's where the real opportunity lies, is now getting people to break the mindset of, I got to be at my desk for 8 hours a day, and how do I begin to free up more time to be human, right? Enjoy arts, go on walks with friends, so on and so forth. Anybody can answer that?
I'll just take a moment to plug Care First West Baltimore Workforce Development Initiative. We are a large employer in this region, and many of our members live in the West Baltimore community, so it's a very natural fit for us to start a program there where we are not just increasing awareness and access to good jobs, but actually getting people set up for success for the jobs of the future, not just the jobs of today. So, very proud of that initiative.
Yeah, and I'll just echo, at Verizon, upskilling and training is a strategic priority, right? And not just for people who work in the technology space, but for all of our employees. I think everyone in this room, people need to get comfortable using the technology. They have to have a certain level of proficiency, and I think a lot of corporations and organizations are going to be giving that capability to their teams through training and upskilling.
And I'll just quickly, to help human beings, to us, interact with artificial intelligence and how it can help us experience and explore the world in many different ways. One of our partners, Associated Black Charities, is in the audience, and we work with the National Bring Blacks Wax Museum to codify African American historical figures, for example, as anthropomorphic, fully embodied, interactive type of characters, so that when you go to a museum, you're not just seeing like a static figure, a static exhibit, but an exhibit that may interact with you, explore expanding that experience. So how do you engage people to decrease their work time and get comfortable with that and be comfortable? I mean, that's something that we're going to transform to. But on the other hand, artificial intelligence is going to create a lot more jobs in the technology space, where the data is paramount, and you're going to have a significant amount of data scientists that are required to keep on pumping that data to an AI algorithm so that we can all have better life experiences and better life balance.
Yes. To your point, I think it's not necessarily the jobs that will be replaced, but it's the people who can do the jobs that will be replaced. I think as we've seen various industrial revolutions, just most recently, everybody in this room has been a part of is the tech and social media and industry. That's how jobs from the 70s and 80s were changed in the 90s and 2000s. So it behooves you to learn how to utilize this and understand it, not just be aware, but increase your skills in learning there. To the young lady over here to my left, I think you had a question, if you could.
Good afternoon, my name is Aaliyah Blackman. I am currently in pursuit of my MBA at the illustrious Morgan State University. My question is, with AI becoming more prominent in today's society, how would people in business be able to use AI, as y'all mentioned, as a partnership? I'm also getting a certification in coding that I will be obtaining here. When y'all have when we have conversations,
Can you say this for me?
Can you hear me? When having conversations in my cohort, everyone expresses worry about AI taking their job. So how can we work with AI as a partnership instead of as a competition? And my other question is, in what ways can someone use business and technology to secure a job or move forward in their career?
So what ways can we use AI as a partnership? And in what ways can we use AI to advance in both business and advance their careers? Did I summarize that?
This is definitely my question. So let me sit up for you, and we can take it, and I want to welcome, we can talk offline so I can share some sort of like a mentorship, okay? So the way that you do it is literally all the free versions of artificial intelligence. Well, two things. First, your human intelligence. I want you to create a spreadsheet, identify what your team looks like, right? Then I want you to go into any of the free tools, and since GPT is the most popular, but there are a ton of other AIs very much like it, but let's use GPT as the example. I want you to then plug in each team member that you need for your business, and then plug into ChatGPT. Hey, you are now my virtual assistant. I need you to be my chief of staff. I need you to be my marketing expert. I need you to be, and just keep going. And with whatever task that you are looking to have completed, or at least an outline, right? Because you are, as it was already mentioned, you are still required to use your brain to facilitate whatever it spits out, right? So your team, plug it into GPT. What you tell it is the result that you're going to get back, meaning the more detailed that you are, the more fruit that you'll get back, or the more meat and potato that you'll get back for that. And then what you do, I think as Shema pointed out, you then want to review that, tweak it, so that it's in line with your voice, with your business voice, and with your company voice. The second part is, I've been commissioned to build an AI platform for government contracting. If you are a business owner and has ever had an interest in business contracting, you know it is like the British Special Forces and like the Marine Corps of paperwork. And so, and it's not, I'm gonna be honest, it's not set, it doesn't set you up for success. You have to like really want it. So that's a prime example. I'm actually going through the process of wanting to get into government contracting, so I know the pain points. And what did I decide to do? I found an AI tool, and I was like, wait a minute, what team is required in order for dope nerds to be successful in the government contracting space? And then was like, okay, I'm going through these pain points. Why don't I build a solution? So whatever ideas that you have or pain points that you're going through, identify them first, pen to paper, I still believe in that, and then take it through technology.
Thank you.
I had to sit up for that.
No, please do. We got to sit for all of this. I can nerd out on this all day, but we are here for a basketball tournament as well. But today, I want to thank everybody here, but before we wrap, if each of our panelists just give me 30 seconds about your thoughts on AI, not necessarily just as a friend or foe, but a closing thought on where, and a takeaway for the folks on artificial intelligence, maybe either how they utilize it, where they see that future going, or maybe even if you can give them a nugget or somewhere where they can go and learn more information, credible information about AI. We'll start here to my left.
Yeah, I'm just so inspired by how Ursula has talked about this space, and so I feel like as I look at the title of the panel, AI, friend or foe, it's all contingent on us. So I don't think AI, the question is AI, friend or foe, it's like human race, friend or foe. And what are we collectively going to decide to be, and how is that going to shape the technology that helps us live better or worse? So I guess my final thought is you are empowered in this room, and you have a stake in which way our future is going to go. So act accordingly, as we line.
I love that. My sort of leaving with you thought is artificial intelligence will only take your job if you operate in mediocrity.
Ooh, pause. I'm sorry. Cut you off, please. You definitely is. Can I use that in caption?
Yeah, only if you operate in mediocrity do you have to worry about your job. Because those of us who realize, and that doesn't mean be afraid of it, that you shouldn't be afraid of it, or you should be aware of the full component of it, but
operate in excellence. I think that's what she operate in excellence. To our futures, Dr. Doswell.
I agree with that. The juxtaposition of mediocrity, as I said, so I definitely understand. If you want to do real artificial intelligence and transform the field and dominate industries, we have apprenticeships in Juxtopia, so we talk afterwards. But in closing, we created that first high-tech minority incubator in Baltimore under my nonprofit called the Juxtopia Urban Innovation and Cooperative Entrepreneurship. It's called the Juice Network. We're headquartered right there in the Blacks and Wax Museum because we keep it cultural focused. All of our engineers right now, primarily African American or African, so we make sure we ascertain the cultural competence, empathetic and ethical AI. So my closing remarks, don't be afraid of AI. Soldier up, dominate the markets, learn the skills. I'm from Baltimore, City College High School grad, so I may have some city graduates in the audience, but either way, Baltimore cultivates grit, so if you don't know, now you know. You dig deep, eradicate that mediocrity, have a propensity for perfection, gain those skill sets in this era we're talking about, and grow those new businesses so that you, the future, dominate these industries and actually be the next trillionaires in the marketplace while also maintaining humanity.
Maintaining humanity.
Absolutely. So I want to echo and amen everything that was said, and I'll just add two things. I'm a computer scientist, so everything we've been saying about STEM and getting smart with the technology, absolutely important. Everyone needs to do it. That's how you get left behind. Don't get comfortable with technology, no question about that. But as I've said before, and I'm going to say again, let's not lose sight of our humanity. I think the things that make us human, the things that we excel at uniquely as people, the ability to persuade, to work through interpersonal conflict, to lead, to get people excited and animated, those things are going to be, I think, more important in the future than they are even now. Because those are the things that are hard to turn into reality. So tapping into our humanity, cultivating those, what they used to be called soft skills, interpersonal skills, emotional intelligence, I think there's going to be a premium on people to add that to all their technical competencies. So do not lose sight of that. And then lastly, everything we've talked about today could be obsolete in 5 years. The pace of change in this space is neck-breaking. And so the capacity to learn and relearn, getting comfortable, having to start from scratch, being a rookie, and learn things anew is going to be a capacity, a capability that sets you apart. So learn and relearn, get comfortable with that because we have no idea where this is going, and it's going to change quickly.
Thank you. I just hope people, if you saw typing, I'm picking up these gems in real time too, so you guys had an advantage over here, right? And taking these notes, so many different things. Make sure we're not operating in mediocrity. Artificial intelligence is artificial. This is the rise of the creative class. I think you ended with a really important point. It's also on us. We've got to learn and relearn to be able to be prepared for this new technology and this new place we're going. I would leave you with, coming from my vantage point in the political and civic and social engagement space. Again, this is an election year. Everybody, I'm hoping, is registered to vote. And the rules of the road and how people how up and down the ballot, whatever side you're on, your engagement there and understanding. This is another thing you're asking those representatives and those folks who represent you, because they're going to help write those rules of the road and really help also shape this space moving forward. So that would be my closing thought there, just to make sure you're engaged. And this is another issue that is top of mind and that you're pushing those folks forward. But so is the final verdict AI, friend, foe, or as you said, is it human race, friend or foe? But if we can get a round of applause to all of our wonderful esteemed panelists. Thank you so much for joining us today. I want to thank Verizon. I want to thank Visit Baltimore, and I want to thank the local Baltimore Local Host Committee for the CIAA basketball tournament here in 2024. I would encourage you also, like I said, since I'm the host of the Hip Politics podcast, season 3 is starting next week, where we interview top elected officials, hip hop artists, and entertainers on civic engagement, a little plug, wherever your podcasts are sold. But thank you all. This has been a riveting conversation. I know people picked up hopefully a lot of information and really spurred them to learn more and relearn more about this space. And also, please don't go too far. We have the No Picks After Dark podcast set to start in just a few minutes. And with that, Cameron Trumbull, CEO of Hip Politics, and as you hear on my podcast, we out. Peace.